So let's talk about some teams that I liked during the offseason, teams that I don't have a problem with what they did. The Boston Celtics. Now, me and my usual co-host, Matt Basson, were on when the Celtics and the Warriors were in the finals and after the finals, just talking about where the teams would be next year. I thought the Celtics had a fluky run to the NBA Finals, and I didn't see them as a team that would be able to repeat that run. But man, if they are not having one hell of an offseason and really positioning themselves to be a strong player in the East again. So the Celtics got Malcolm Brogdon. They got it for giving up essentially nobody. I think the two main guys that they gave up in that trade were Daniel Tice and Aaron Nesmith. But they got Malcolm Brogdon and they got Danilo Gallinari. They got both of those guys without giving up any of like their top 7 players that they were playing. And it's a team who had depth is one of the reasons that they made the NBA Finals was because they were able to just have so many different guys step up at different points. And the knock on these moves is going to be that these are two guys who can't stay healthy, right? Malcolm Brogdon is a very good player. Danilo Gallinari is pretty good now. His best years are probably behind him, but he can still definitely give you something. But both have injury history, which makes sense. Malcolm Brogdon, though, and Danilo Gallinari for that matter, they're guys that you really only need to be healthy for the playoffs. So, because they're going to have lesser roles on the Celtics than they did on the Pacers, and then on the Hawks is where I believe Gallo came from, free agency on the Hawks last year. Yet they're going to be asked to do less, so it should just be less stress on their body overall. You should be able to get them more rest. And again, you're going to need them for the playoffs. You're not necessarily worried about the regular season because you know with the rotation that you have, you're going to be in the playoffs. You're probably going to be in the playoffs pretty comfortably. But look at this top 9, and really we'll just do top 10 because it's 2 lineups. So the Celtics, they're looking at a top 10, 2 rotations essentially, of Malcolm Brogdon, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Robert Williams. That is a whole lot of defense. And with Malcolm Brogdon now, that is some much needed offense that that starting lineup produced. Marcus Smart is streaky and he can score buckets one game and then he can go 5 and 19 the next and absolutely kill you. And we already know what Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown can do. But Malcolm Brogdon is a guy who can come in and he can give you offense pretty much right away, which is something I thought the Celtics really lacked in the Golden State series was just another guy that can come in and create his own offense and score for them. I thought their offense got pretty stagnated at times. Might have been what ended up costing them a title, but last year it provided only 36 games. A lot of trouble staying healthy, but Brogdon averaged 19 points, and he's typically a pretty good shooter. Didn't shoot it last year, but career 37, basically 38% three-point shooter. And a guy who's going to give you about 45, 46% from the field and anywhere between 85 and like 88% from the free throw line. So just a really solid offensive player, and he's also giving you the 5 assists and 5 rebounds, essentially. Like a really good player that Boston just added. He can create for others, he can create for himself, and he can shoot it in every year except for basically last year, where again he was hurt a bunch of the year, and that's been the knock on him is staying healthy. And then Gallinari again, a guy who can get a bucket. He's not going to be able to create for himself as much as Brogdon can, I think, but he can still create for himself. He can still go get his own shot, and he can still go get his own bucket. He's not going to be reliant on Marcus Smart setting him up. You can give it to Gallo for a couple possessions while either Tatum and Brown are on the bench or whatever. And he can do his thing, and for better or worse, so it's not always going to go in, but it's a better option than certainly anybody that they gave up, and I think anybody that they had in that role last year. And then you have the bench 5. All right, so we talked about Malcolm Brogdon, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Robert Williams. Now you're looking at the bench, and these lineups are going to be a little bit adjusted because I think the Celtics are looking at actually having Brogdon coming off the bench, but we'll just do their next 5, right? Al Horford, Derek White, Grant Williams, Nilo Gallinari, and Peyton Pritchard. That's a really good top 10. That's a really, really good 2 kind of lineup set that the Celtics can run at you. There's a lot of depth. There's a lot of shooting there. There's a lot of defense there, and for Boston, I think that's going to bode really well for them. I really this lineup top to bottom, or this 10-man lineup, I guess you can say, top to bottom is really is just really strong, man. And they can do a lot of things. I was pretty bullish that the Celtics weren't going to make the finals when the season had ended, like they weren't going to make it back to the finals this year. I don't know that I can say that now.
Man on a mission, I'ma get it. You know I be on the way. Yeah. You know I be on the way.